Knives are indispensable tools in the kitchen, but after a period of use, the blade will become dull, making cutting difficult and time-consuming. Today, I will share with you a very simple knife sharpening tip with easy-to-find ingredients to help the knife become sharp and shiny in just a few steps. I place the lean meat on the cutting board, holding the top of the meat firmly. When I put the knife down, I immediately felt that the blade did not eat into the meat, but kept sliding on the surface, forcing me to put more force and pull back and forth many times. Each time I pulled the knife, the meat did not separate immediately, but was stretched. The meat fibers stuck together, looking quite messy. The cut created was not as thin and smooth as a sharp knife, but the edges of the meat were a bit fibrous and torn. Sometimes the meat was even misaligned. I had to adjust it and cut again to separate it. I placed the knife in the basin to secure it, then squeezed the toothpaste directly onto both sides of the blade, covering it from the handle to the tip. Then, I took an old toothbrush and started to gently scrub along the blade, rotating the brush as I scrubbed so that the toothpaste could penetrate all the edges and small grooves. Toothpaste contains microabrasive particles and mild detergents, which help remove rust, plaque, and tarnish on the metal surface. These particles act like fine sandpaper, both supporting sharpening and cleaning without causing deep scratches, while also reducing friction between the knife and the sharpening tool, making the sharpening process smoother and more effective. Once the toothpaste is fully and evenly applied, I hold the knife firmly in one hand, hold the metal screwdriver in the other hand, tilt it about 20 degrees to the blade surface, and slowly pull the knife along the screwdriver body, starting from the base of the knife to the tip of the knife. Each sharpening stroke is done slowly and decisively to create better sharpness. I repeat this several times until I feel the knife is sharper, then rotate the knife to sharpen the other side with the same number of times. Finally, I use a toothbrush to scrub both sides of the knife again to remove metal shavings and dirty cream. Then, use a paper towel to wipe it clean, ready for the next sharpening step. Next, I moved on to sharpening the knife with aluminum foil. I took a large piece of aluminum foil, rolled it into a firm ball, just the right size to hold in the palm of my hand. Aluminum foil seems to be only used to wrap food, but in fact, its surface has a slight roughness and good friction, helping to remove the dull layer on the blade and restore sharpness safely. I placed the knife at an angle of about 20 degrees to the aluminum foil block, then pulled the blade from the base to the tip in a steady grinding motion, repeating many times so that the blade is continuously rubbed. When sharpening, the aluminum foil will help smooth the sharp edge, while also brightening the surface of the knife without causing deep scratches. I sharpened both sides of the blade, switching sides continuously to keep the knife evenly sharp. After feeling that the blade was smoother and sharper, I put the aluminum foil aside and prepared to move on to the step of polishing the knife to finish. Now I will move on to the polishing step to complete the sharpening process. I drop a few drops of vinegar directly onto the blade surface, then sprinkle a few spoons of baking soda on top. When these two ingredients meet, they will create a slight bubbling reaction, helping to remove stubborn stains and restore the shine to the metal. Vinegar is mildly acidic, helping to dissolve rust and stains, while baking soda acts as a fine abrasive, cleaning the surface without damaging the blade. Next, I add a few more drops of vinegar, then place a paper towel over the blade to keep it moist and increase cleaning efficiency. I do the same for the other side of the knife, making sure both sides are thoroughly treated. Then, I let the knife soak in the mixture for about 20 to 30 minutes to maximize the effects of the ingredients. When enough time has passed, I use an old toothbrush to gently scrub the entire surface, and I can clearly feel the knife becoming brighter and smoother. Finally, I rinse the knife with water, dry it with a soft towel, and am ready to test its sharpness. After the knife was sharpened and polished, I moved on to testing the results. First, I took the piece of meat I had tried to cut when the knife was still dull. This time, I just put the blade lightly on the surface of the meat and pulled it firmly. The meat was neatly separated. The cut was thin and sharp, no longer tearing the meat or leaving a rough surface like before. The feeling of the blade gliding over the meat was very light, almost without using much force. Next, I tried it with a lemon, a fruit that is often difficult to cut neatly if the knife is not sharp enough. With just a light press and pull, the knife glided through the lemon peel, dividing the fruit into two even halves. The lemon juice flowing out looked very fresh and delicious. Looking at the two test results, I was completely satisfied because the knife was not only much sharper, but also shiny like new. So with just toothpaste, aluminum foil, baking soda and vinegar, very familiar ingredients in the house, I have turned a dull knife into a sharp and shiny one like new. This method is simple, economical, and does not require professional knife sharpening tools. If your knife is also dull and difficult to use, try applying this tip right away. You will definitely be surprised by the results. Don't forget to share the video so that more people know about this great tip.